I'm Jbl EH,
And I'm Elliot.
and this is our 5.1.
So I'm going to talk about Nick, who is our football coach on a Sunday, and he's seen as more of a friend to us because he's a physiotherapist in the RAF, and he ends up giving us equal amount of minutes on the pitch, and rather than taking everything seriously, because that's seen as better for him, but it doesn't work out competitive on a Sunday, but it does enable us to enjoy it, which does make him a good coach. He also gives us positive feedback all the time, tells us how we need to improve, but doesn't really help in training. And yeah, that's about it really.
So this is the same as my Mick, which is also my Sunday league football coach, because he gives he's aggressive but he gives negative feedback, and he's also an educator, so he tells us what we need to improve, but he doesn't actually help us do it on trainings. And I don't think he's got very good coaching qualifications, so our improvements that we could make on a Wednesday night training is decreased.
Well, Nick has some coaching qualifications because he's a manager in a decent league, but he also has to do pitch inspections before games to make sure that we're all safe. He also has legal obligations to look after us as players because our care is handed over to him from our parents and carers. So while we're in the hands of him, he's got to make sure that we stay safe.
Also, Nick, he has a knowledge of the coaching environment, which means that he knows the surroundings and where the residents live and stuff like that, and what the pitch is like, so he knows what to do in training, to stop us from getting injured and hurting us. But he also has bad communication with the other coach. It's he doesn't really give if he could, he wouldn't give equal opportunities to everyone. So that kind of decreases our motivation, and that we don't really want to play well on a Sunday. He also shouts at us from the sideline, which most people don't really improve from and basically don't like. So they just get annoyed, which makes us play worse. But and the other coach is first day trained, so he doesn't really, he isn't, so it's a bit of he's not really that great of a coach. But he has a legal obligation to look after the children after the parents give them to us, as well as Elliot's coach. So he basically looks after us and makes sure we're all safe until the parents come and pick us up again from training and games and whatever other activities that we have within the club.
Nick also is quite a good player manager because he has to select a team, and instead of what other managers do, which is selecting a team each week which he thinks would win the game, he allows everyone to turn up and get equal amount of minutes, and this is better for everyone because everyone wants to be involved and the squad is smaller, so it's a better way for everyone to get some fun out of the game rather than taking it so seriously that no one actually enjoys it.
My second coach is Eddie Jones, whereas he is England's rugby coach, and that he works hard in training, so you have to improve and you have to impress him so that you can get picked for the game. Whereas Mick obviously doesn't really do a lot of training, and he allows everyone to turn up as well. Eddie Jones is also a friend to you, so if you need anything or if you have any worries, then you literally just go to him and he will look after you and help you get through whatever you're going through.
My other coach is Trevor Bayliss, the England cricket coach. He allows players to learn things for themselves, so if they make a mistake, instead of dropping them from the team, for example, he would let them alter their performance the next week by not doing the same mistake or being positive towards them so that they wouldn't make the same mistake again, and saying that it's okay. He also gives players responsibility on the pitch, and he makes players know what their roles are before the game, so that if any mistakes or problems happen, he's done his part to make sure that they try and win the game. He also remains very calm in any situation, so that when a high stressful game is taking place, he's still quite calm about it, so the players aren't worrying.
Eddie Jones also has a legal obligation to look after you if you're injured, it's like insurance-wise, so that he doesn't get into trouble and the England rugby team doesn't. He also like helps you to improve as he's a trainer and he's an educator, so he'll tell you what you need to improve, and then the next training session he'll actually help you to do it. So like he'll prepare the certain sessions to help you improve, so that you can be the best that you possibly can on the international stage. He's also first aid trained, so basically if anything happens in like training or something like that, he can always help you and make sure you're alright. Like he evaluates how you can improve, so basically he's just notes everything down from like games and stuff, and then as I said, he'll tell you how you need to, and then we'll do that in training. He's got good communication as you need for as an elite coach for an international team, so that he can motivate you and basically just encourage you to do the best that you can on that stage.
Trevor Bayliss is a very positive role model towards his players. He's got a good history of management, and he's got all of the qualifications that he needs to be a coach at that level, and he coaches really well. He's a very upbeat coach who allows players to have fun while they're playing, rather than taking everything seriously, which makes them better players for it.
Eddie Jones is also a good role model because he's won a lot of things with lots of different international teams. Like he won the World Cup with Japan in 2015, but whereas Mick isn't really, because he hasn't won because he's a grassroots manager and he hasn't won a lot or anything at all. Eddie Jones is also a good problem solver. So like if you're not winning the game and it's a vital win that you need, like if you're in the World Cup, he will find a way to win so that you can go on to the next stage possible. This is also so you can be the best and go on unbeaten for how many games like England did last year. They went unbeaten in like every game, apart from one, I think it was. He also has a good knowledge of the coaching environment, so that he knows where you're training, and so that there is a specific training facility that you need to go to, and it has all the equipment that he needs and the resources and all that stuff, so he can get the best out of you and help you improve as much as you can. And this is the same as Mick, because he has the resources and tries to improve you, but doesn't really help you as he's not a trainer.
If you compare Trevor and Eddie Jones to Nick, my football coach, you could also say that Nick hasn't been successful with football, which doesn't make him as much of a role model as Trevor or Eddie Jones would. However, the fact that he hasn't had success could drive him to want to make success with his team, which does help the players' mentality, because they would want to play for him and give him success.
Whereas Mick actually has a boy in his team, so that he might favour him more than the other boys. It's like give him more game time. Whereas Eddie Jones doesn't. He focuses on the whole team, so that the whole team can basically thrive and improve as a team, rather than just one person.
And that's the same with Trevor Bayliss as well. He hasn't got any biased things with the team. He gives all the players equal opportunities if they're playing well. If they're not playing well, then he'll help them to improve in training, or he will drop them and give another player who is doing well in training a chance to perform well and earn their place in the team.
Eddie Jones is also a friend in the way that if you're on a bad run of form, or if you're not playing well, that he'll put an arm around you and help you to get out of that and get your confidence back up. Whereas Mick won't. He'll just put you back on the field because if you're one of the best players, or should be one of the best players out there, then he'll just put you out there and just hope for the best. He won't take you off and then put you as a sub to help you get over it, and to put an arm around you.
Nick is also first aid trained, so that he can help with any injuries, and the fact that he's a physio in the RAF also gives him an advantage when it comes to injuries, so he can help the squad out. If there's a long-term injury, he can work with that player to help them recover quicker and get better in the long term?
I think that's it.